Take me to the day and into the room with lawyer Bill Gates Sr. And what you recall from that day.
Of all the things that have happened in my life and all of the episodes that have led to where I am today, that was the defining moment. And if that did not happen, 100% rest assured, we wouldn't be sitting here. So Bill Gates Sr. literally changed my life.
And had no reason to do so.
No, I had no reason to do it. And the founders of Starbucks Coffee Company, specifically Jerry Baldwin, 2 years before had acquired Peet's Coffee Company. So Starbucks had 6 stores, Peet's had 5 or 6, and it was a tough economic time. And Jerry bought Peet's with mostly debt. And it turns out that Starbucks and Peet's got into financial trouble. And Jerry came to me and said, I decided that I'm going to sell Starbucks and I'm going to keep Peet's and I'm going to move to the Bay Area. And it seems to me if you could raise the money, you're the right guy to acquire Starbucks. So that was great news to me, but I had no money. And at that time I had left Starbucks and formed my own coffee company called Il Giornale. And we were doing pretty well, but I had no money to buy Starbucks. The purchase price was $3.8 million in 1987. And so the good news is the opportunity, bad news, no money. So I went to my existing investors to try and raise the $3.8 million. And Jerry said, if you can raise the money in 60, 90 days, it's yours. But at the same time, just to cover myself, I'm going to start talking to other people in case you can't raise the money.
Which would have been horrible for you.
Yeah, terrible. And he came to me with about 30 days in and said, how are you doing? And I said, I've raised about a third of the money and I'm confident I'm going to raise the rest. But I wasn't confident. I didn't know where the money was coming from. Well, maybe a week or two later, he calls me up and says, can you come see me? And I go to see Jerry and he says, I got some bad news. I've got an all-cash offer, all cash, with no due diligence to buy the company. And Howard, I just got to take it. And I said, from who? And he said, one of your investors. And it turned out that one of our investors had gone around me and tried to steal the opportunity. And I tell you, I was just heartbroken. I couldn't believe it. The guy who was intending to do this was a titan in Seattle at the time. He's here, and I'm down here. I would have no access to him. I was in a basketball league at the time, and I'm telling my friend Scott Greenberg the story. He's a lawyer, a young lawyer at Bill Gates Sr.'s law firm. And he says to me, this is a terrible thing. You got to come in the office and tell Bill Gates the story. You have to. I said, well, I don't even know Bill. He said, you come in. So next day, he got a meeting with me, and I went in there with Scott, Bill Gates Sr., who at the time was like 6'7", 6'8". He was a titan of Seattle. He was just the man. Now, Bill Gates, Microsoft at the time, was a small startup company. No one knew Bill Gates, but everyone knew Bill Gates Sr. I walk in the office, I tell him the whole story, and he says, I'm just going to ask you 2 straight up questions. I was so nervous, I was so anxious.
I was going to say, the nerves had to be through the roof.
Awful. Yeah, I was sweating. I said,
my hands are sweating just listening to this.
He says, is everything you told me true? I said, Mr. Gates, 100% the truth. Have you left anything out? I said, no. And he says, we're going to take a walk. I don't know where we're going. We take a walk across the street, literally. We go up to the top floor, and then I realize we're walking into the other man's office, whose name should be not mentioned. We walk in. Bill Gates is 6'7", 6'8". This guy is behind his desk, and Bill Gates stands over him, just like this, walks in and said, I'm going to walk out of this office and you are going to stand down and Howard Schultz and Starbucks Coffee are going to never hear from you again. Are we clear? I'm just like, holy. And the guy kind of wilts and says, I understand. And we walk out. And I just said to Mr. Gates, what just happened? And he said, you're going to own Starbucks Coffee Company, and my son and I are going to help you. And they did. and we bought the company for $3.8 million. Now, Bill Gates Sr. never told a soul what he did for me. And at every opportunity I had throughout the years, I'd find an opportunity to thank him. And he just never he just shrugged it off. Now the other story, if you wanted, is
Sure.
3 years ago, I'm at the Microsoft CEO Summit. You know, every CEO in the world is there, and Bill and Melinda Gates are in the front row. So I tell the story in front of that whole group, and I'm getting off the stage. Bill meets me halfway, and he says, "Who's the guy? Who's the guy?" And I tell him, and he says, "Holy f-." He didn't know. He didn't know his father did it. So the truth is, Bill Gates Sr. is directly responsible for my success and Starbucks growth and development. That's a fact.